coffee. It's 0 degrees outside. Well, it's 8:30 on a Sunday morning. And normally, I'd sleep for another hour before getting up to go to church, but I'm in the car heading somewhere. And why is my voice kind of cracking? Oh, I'm not sick, but I don't know. Let's talk about it. Coming up on the War Bonds channel. Whoa, what do we have here? Our friend Gary from Model Railroad Talk and the GP60M. Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another video podcast here on the War Bonds channel. If you don't know me and you're unfamiliar with this channel, my name is Eric. I'm a locomotive engineer for a U.S. Class 1 railroad by profession, an avid model railroader, and just a lifelong rail enthusiast. Well, if any of you have been following this channel for any length of time, you probably noticed that my voice is sounding a little crackly, almost like I'm a teenager in puberty whose voice is changing. But that is actually because I am at the Lincoln Area Model Railroad Show in Lincoln, Nebraska. And this is actually the second day of the show, but I spent so much time talking yesterday that I'm actually kind of losing my voice. So I'm going to do the best that I can to keep it up here. But as you can see, behind me is the GP60M. And I actually have it here at the show. It's the first time that it's been in this form, in a more completed form per se, to showcase to the general public. And it's been fun to have it here because even though I'm still doing a lot of things with it, and I thought that at some point I was about ready to paint it, but well, by having it here and looking at it, it gives me a chance to kind of step out of the box and kind of take a look at it from the perspective of others, and also getting a little bit of insight of what others think about it. And as people ask questions, it kind of gives me an opportunity to talk to them and kind of use them as a sounding board, which bounces back to me to say, like, what else do I need to really do on this? Oh, maybe I'm not quite as ready to paint this thing as I thought I was. And also, as I've put some parts on it, there's been a few things that have unfortunately fallen off, like, oh, well, I guess I didn't do that very well, so I need to rethink my strategy of attaching these parts, or maybe redesign certain things. So for right now, I'm gonna get set up, but even though we're gonna be looking at the GP60M, I am actually gonna make this video more about people today, because we are at a train show, and there are several people that I'll probably do some small interviews with, because they're people that have made an impact in my life in some way or another. And I look forward to introducing those people to you as we go about the day here at the Lincoln Area Train Show, February 16th, 2025. Well, here we are with my very good friend Gary from Model Railroad Talk. He drove all the way from eastern Iowa to come to this Lincoln, Nebraska train show to not only hang out with me, but also get to experience this train show. So, Gary, it's really good to have you here, and
thanks for allowing me to come over.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. He came Friday, and we actually spent some time putting some details on the GP60M, and he's been kind of helping me and talking to people about it, because after all, he's a big chunk of this project with all the 3D printed parts that he's made for me and everything. So I definitely, consider him an important aspect of this. So, Gary, what do you think of the show so far?
It is awesome. Obviously, like a lot of train shows, you can't go wrong with a train show anywhere. But no, this train show is very, very nice. I like it. Lots of vendors. The Nebraska Fremo over here, they've got an amazing layout. There's other great layouts on the other side. I'm happy with the train show.
Well, it's been certainly been a lot of fun, and as I said earlier, by the end of this day, I'm probably not going to have much of a voice left, but it's certainly worth it. But Gary, I really appreciate your help in this project. You've done a lot to help me out, because there's a lot of things that without your help I wouldn't have known what to do. So I'm really very appreciative to you for your help. And
You're welcome, my pleasure.
So here's the GP60M on its stand, and as you can see, with Gary's help, we actually have some ditch lights, we have some headlights. The ditch lights were 3D printed, as well as the headlight casting. And we actually used some LED bulbs to actually light them up, and just kind of wire everything up just to kind of give the effect of, hey, this engine is kind of alive. And I actually have a Bluetooth speaker that I'm using to emulate the sound of a 710 prime mover. One of the things that certainly stands out are the struts that I was able to make for the locomotive. They still have some problems. I actually need to figure out a better way to attach them, and I might have to do a little bit of redesign. But as far as how they look great. And got part of the jacking pads here. This piece actually needs another addition, but I at least have somewhat of a representation. Now on the side here, and then also we'll notice on the roof, I actually went to an Ace Hardware and got some small brass pins, and I actually put them in to represent rivets. Now I didn't get any on the exhaust stack here, but this is a work in progress. And here on the back, got some more rivets on the radiator section. Now, the radiator grills that are on here right now are not going to be the permanent ones. In fact, they're stuck on with two-sided tape, because the prints didn't come out as well as we wanted. So we're actually going to redo those. But for the purpose of the show, to at least give something to look at, we've actually used them, and they don't look too bad. And of course, then we have the dynamic brake grids on there as well. Now the horn, that is actually from a precision scale car. It's actually a 1.5 inch scale horn, so it's a little oversized. But you know what? I figured I would rather go a little oversized and have great detail than to try to scratch build something myself that detracts from the detail. And same with the Sinclair antenna on the roof of the cab. It's a little oversized once again, but it's got beautiful detail on it. I have a piece of PVC pipe that I'm using for the air tanks, and then Gary actually made some caps to go on the end. And because we actually can look here, here's what one of the caps look like. Very detailed, beautiful looking caps there. We go to the back here. So I actually bent a grab up here, boost yourself up to the roof of the locomotive. These are all the grab irons that I hand bent, and I was a little afraid of it because I thought it was going to be worse than it really was, but it actually worked out quite well. So this is pretty much what we've got so far. And also I used some sprinkler plugs that I cut down and actually used the caps for sand fillers. So it doesn't look too bad, and I don't know, I might have to rethink it, but that's what we got so far. So we're just going to let the engine sit and have people look at it, and we'll see what they think. Okay, so I'm here with my little friend Braxton. His dad is actually the president of our Chippewa and Northwestern Railroad Club in Nebraska. And we were just sitting here talking a little bit about, happenings at the show and the things that we think about in this hobby, and how the 1-inch scale stuff actually matters to us. And we just got to talking off camera, and he started bringing up some really good points. And I asked him if he would allow me just to interview him and just to kind of get his take on some of the things. So as a young guy, I mean, what do you think about this, and how does it affect you?
That's a good question. Well, I've grown up around trains, so this is kind of a normal thing to me. But I've got friends that I have brought out to our railroad club and all sorts of stuff like that. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know this exists. And I think that it's kind of one of those dying hobbies. Is everybody I talk to and I know is like 40 and up. So I'm trying to bring young blood into this hobby. There's so many people out there that don't know about ride-on trains.
Right.
It's along with like the smaller stuff is all everybody sees. It's so hard to move the big stuff around, but it's definitely something that is kind of dying.
Yeah. So well, and you mentioned how you're very fortunate the fact that your dad has gotten you into this, and you're exposed
I've
to it.
grown up around it, so I now run a full steam engine, miniature, by myself. I've gone from running a little electric one, like you can see in our background, just go by, to now running a full miniature steam engine by myself.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And and here it took me, up to age 50. Well, no, I was in my late 40s, when I started this project. I'm 51 now, and my locomotive's been under construction for the last 5 years. So, and you as a teenager are doing something that I only wish I could have done.
I gotta give you full credit. He's building his own locomotive. That's something cool. Most of what you'll find is people will buy pre-made, or they'll buy locomotives from other people. There's not a whole lot of people out there making their own locomotives. So
sure,
this guy is doing something incredible.
Well,
I want to get more people into this hobby. It's really cool.
Well,
I've been blessed to grow up with this hobby.
That's it. That's awesome, and to be a young guy and to have a father who's gotten you into, and just the fact that you're a young guy that's been interested in it, because there's a lot of young people that are not very interested in this stuff.
There's been a couple of kids from our club that they grew up just right with me. They grew up in the club, and then as they hit high school and stuff, they started bringing it up to their friends and stuff, and their friends ridiculed them and stuff, and they dropped out of the club. Don't know a whole much of the backstory, but it's definitely something harder to get your friends into. It's kind of one of those frowned upon as what you see little kids doing, but if you get up into the bigger stuff, it's really cool, and it can be a really cool hobby. You just got to find the right people to hang out with, like this guy over here.
Well, I can relate, because in high school, I was the nerd. I was the nerdy kid going out watching trains, and
Tell me about it. I'm homeschooled. So try finding a friend group for homeschoolers.
There you go. Well, I am here with my good friend Mike from Spring Creek Hobbies down in Deschler, Nebraska. And he's here with his store at the show. And I wanted to interview Mike because he's actually a very integral part of the GP60M project. And
No, he's smiling here. You know, he's being very modest.
Too much credit.
Well, I just appreciate Mike because this GP60M project started because I was actually down at their shop one day, and we didn't actually know each other at the time, but I've been friends with his parents, Dave and Deb, who actually own and run the store most of the time. And we were just, his mother, Deb, introduced us, and we just started talking. And I mentioned how I had this dream that I'd like to build a locomotive, but I don't even know where to begin. And he said, well, you know, I actually have a friend that I went to school with. He was a metal guy. And he said, you know, I'll ask him if he might be interested in working on this project with you. So a few days later or so, a week later, Mike got a hold of me and said that, yeah, he'd like to talk to you about it. So we got together. So I've mentioned Will before, and that's how I met Will. And we sat and had a meeting, and he said, yeah, I'd love to start this. So Will's the one that fabricated the body and just, you know, did everything. And of course, Mike, you know, gave him some help because he actually loaned him a GP60M and HO scale for him to actually get measurements from in order to start the CAD drawings that ended up becoming the GP60M as we know it. So Mike,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know that you don't like to take credit for a lot of things, but I tell you what, if it had not been for you to actually, you know, align us, you know, me and Will into the right spot, you know, I mean, this never would have happened.
That's pretty exciting. It's exciting to see what you guys have done, right? But I always love checking it out, right? You and I talk about it a lot. What you've done with the GP60 and just, it's pretty sweet. So it's fun to see. It's fun just to see the enthusiasm that you have, right? And well, the different part of the hobby that I personally have never been into and never, you know, until meeting you and learning more about, you know, what rideable scale is all about.
Sure.
Right? So.
Well, that's one of the great things about this hobby and being here at a train show, because, I mean, we can sit here and talk about different aspects and promote different things, because everything, no matter if it's, you know, model railroading hobby or what have you, when you get people together, it's easy to learn different things and to understand different sides and different aspects of things. So it's really awesome. And even though I'm not much into HO or N scale anymore, but I always love coming down to the shop because, well, for one, it does get me in trouble because sometimes you guys will get in some box cars or some different kinds of cars. And then I say, you know what? Maybe I can actually buy that so I can scale it up to a 1-inch scale cars.
No, that's awesome. I totally agree with what you're saying, right? To be able to get together here at a train show, any kind of train store, right? Just to be able to talk with others that like the hobby, right? Because the hobby is such a facet of, I mean, who would have ever thought you could do metal work, you know, full-on welding, right?
Right.
In this, right, where a lot of us are into the woodworking, right, or wiring, right, or the scenery, the artistic side of it, right? It's just like all of it can happen in model trains. That's the cool part. So it's just really
definitely
cool.
Well, and how is the show treating you so far?
It's been good. It's been a good show. I mean, the weather was a challenge yesterday, obviously getting customers here, but today it's a good crowd here on Sunday, so it's been fun. So we've had a good time seeing a lot of new and old customers.
So definitely. And well, Mike, it's certainly always a pleasure to run into you and talk to you and see you at the shows.
Yep.
Well, thanks you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Well, I'm here with another interview, and this is my good friend Steve. And Steve is part of the Chippewa and Northwestern Railroad Club that I got involved with. I actually went over there in 2017. I was invited to come over and check things out, and I was just mesmerized by what I saw. And Steve, I give him credit for so many things because, as you've seen on my channel, I've had videos of cars and different things that I've done, and of course the locomotive has been a big thing. But Steve gave me so much encouragement. He literally took me under his wings and just really gave me the encouragement, taught me so much. And I know he's going to start blushing here, and he's shy, but I got to give him the credit where it's due. But Steve, you know,
somebody doesn't take enough credit for his own work.
Well, I tell you what, I still remember you taking me to the car barn at the club, and you showed me a bunch of different things, and I was just really mesmerized, and it sent me home saying, I'm going to build something. And next thing I know, I ended up building one car, then another one, and now a locomotive. But Steve is quite the master model builder, and we were actually at his home for dinner last night, and he showed us his end skill layout, and I so regret that I was in such awe about it that I didn't shoot any pictures that I should have. But Steve, I mean, how did you get into the hobby?
I've been in the hobby. I had a toy train, an old American Flyer as a kid. I gave up that for cars after I got in high school. In junior high, had a lot of things, but definitely by high school. And then really didn't get back into model railroading until after my son was born.
Oh, wow.
So about I'd say late 70s, my mother gave him my brother's old train set, so that got us something that we could both work on.
Oh, awesome.
But it was HO, and at the time we didn't have a big place to work, so I was started working in N scale, and we ended up building a module with the Lincoln Club to fit into their HO modular layout. And I went and started in with the group of the club and started doing N-track modules. And I just kept with the N-track. Then the guys at the Chippewa wanted to know if I could come out and help with a little bit of the scenery, otherwise known as full-scale tree planting.
Right.
And I've always said that I could go out there and help out, just don't want one.
Right.
Then she had a bad mistake. She learned how to fire a steam engine.
Oh.
Now we have a steam engine. We have a diesel.
Which is passing in the background.
But it's part of the hobby. And like any hobby, unless you share your knowledge and share your skills with other people, you're never going to have it continue, let alone grow.
Right.
And that's the principle of a club. You want to always maintain it, bare minimum. It grows the ideal. And so if somebody's showing even a spark of interest, we've been known to throw out the old fishing lure and try and catch people by both corners of the mouth.
And I'm the big fish.
And show them what can be done simply and easily. And yeah, a lot of things are very complex. You're building an engine, which is very, very complex.
Yes.
Not as bad as a steam engine,
but
no. It's complex.
Oh, no, yes. Steam engine's got so many actual working parts that, this is bad enough at doing a diesel, let alone a steam engine. So I commend you for that. And
I've always told Eric that he does work, but I think he does almost too much detail work because now he's going to get upset when something gets damaged in transport.
Right.
But that's something you just learn with the hobby. The only time it's going to be in perfect shape is when you roll it out the door.
Right, and the one thing about the show that I've noticed is that as far as bringing the model here, I've done the best that I could to put parts on it and everything, but I've also found that just in the transporting from the house to the show, I've had a couple things snap off, and So then I realized, well, I got to figure out a better way to attach this. So at the moment, there's a couple of things that are actually double side taped on. So, but hey, at least
If it works, it works.
It works for the purpose of the show.
Yeah. And there'll always be that. When we were traveling with N-Track and HO modules with the Lincoln Club, the first half hour after setup was set up touching up plaster and touching up scenery that got damaged in transport.
Right,
and
right.
It didn't matter whose module it was. Everybody pitched in and went to work.
Oh, that the true meaning of a good club.
Yep.
I'd been in some HO skill clubs years and years ago, and had some bad experiences. And I said, I'm not going to get into another club. But then all of a sudden, I met you and and all the wonderful members of the club, and I really love it because, like I said, you've been very helpful. I respect you immensely, but just the club as a whole, there's no egos or anything like that, and I feel like it's always welcoming and it's always supportive.
Home folk just having a good time.
Down home folk having a good time. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. I know you're kind of camera shy, but I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I definitely not one for liking to be in front of a camera.
Well, I appreciate the exception you made for me.
All righty. Well, you have a good one.
Thank you. Well, Gary, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you being here this weekend. And
Absolutely.
guess the next step is trying to get this beast loaded into my car, which is going to be a two-man job, but at least it gives me a chance to figure out how hard it's going to be to transport it from home to the club and things like that, since that's normally where it's going to go. But Gary, I really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate all the help that you've given me with it. Tell you what, there's been these shows, 2 days when you're a vendor is a long time and you're worn out, but I tell you what, by the time it's all said and done, it's like it's not enough time because you didn't get a chance to see and talk to everybody. But I'm glad we were able to talk to the people we did, make connections, especially that you did, and it's definitely been a good weekend.
Yes, it has. So it's been fun.
Well, Gary, we're going to, I guess, sign it off for now, but I hope that you have a safe drive home. And thank you so much again.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right. Well, until next time, we're signing off here. But as always, if you enjoy this content, I ask you to like and subscribe and hit that like button and be my new best friend. Take care.
And as I say on my podcast, keep your train on the track.
Exactly.